larger and larger and larger. And it had all kind of green speckles on it. And I looked and I said, I ain't no doctor or something, but this just doesn't look right. And he says, 9 out of 10 times it's going to be cancer. However, I'm not going to say that, but I'm scheduling you for a CAT scan. Go downstairs. I have Kaiser, so it's all one-stop shop. So go downstairs right now, and we can have you have a stat. So the next morning, I went in, I had my CAT scan. The next day, which was the 9th, about 3 o'clock that afternoon, I got the phone call. He says, Mr. Grant, this is Dr. Lou. The biopsy is back. It is cancer. I'm very sorry. And at that point, it was like a billion ants entered my body, all carrying ice cubes, shaking me uncontrollably. My life, as I had known it up to that point, had shifted totally. And I really had no clue at that moment where I was going to go or what I was going to do. It was no longer something out of Brian's song. It was no longer Jimmy Valvano. It was no longer a plot line out of something like Terms of Endearment. It was me. I had cancer. And I started a journey that day of October 9th, and I am still on that journey right now. And I had 2 ways that helped me get through it. One, as juvenile as this may sound to a lot of you, it was a scene out of the final Rocky movie. There is a scene where he's talking to his son. And if any of you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. He's giving him the facts of life outside because his son is feeling his station in life isn't the way it should be. He says, the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a mean and very nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are. It'll beat you down to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. Now you, me, or nobody's ever going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and just keep moving forward. How much you can take and just keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. So every time I felt as though I had an atomic bomb exploding inside of my stomach from those chemo drugs, or that the inside of my brain felt like it was being used for a punching bag, or that when I would yawn and the tear ducts would get in my eyes and it made me feel like they were on fire from the chemicals mixing there. Or some mornings when I would get up and I'd have to take my meds, and the nausea caused me just to vomit them right back up, and I had to grab them and rinse them off and put them back down in my system and hold them in there because that's all I could do. Every time something like that would happen, I'd say, okay, here's another hit, and I need to keep moving forward. And then later on, the chemo induced blood clots in my system. You see right here it says blood thinner. And when I got the call to have blood clots, because of the poison that was trying to help me, I had to say, here's just another hit, but I just need to keep moving forward. That was one portion that still carries me. The other portion are the people that got behind me. There's the people that were determined to make sure I was not going to fall. I was not going to fail. They were determined to make sure I would succeed. And they committed themselves to closing the gap between where I was when I found out I had cancer and where I needed to be in order to get through this entire hellish ordeal. They were motivated by something that is so overlooked, but is so powerful. Simple love.
Love.
And I don't mean that love of wine and roses and all that other kind of stuff. I'm talking about the love of a tough fiber human heart. I'm talking about people like young Jim Kennedy who would show up at my place every week with a case of Gatorade and a case of Sobe water to make sure I stayed hydrated. I'm talking about Sergeant Merlot and Officer, why can't I think of her last name right now? Laurel, who would call my office periodically just to say, how are you doing? I talk about some of the people in Venice that would leave crazy things on my desk just to make me laugh, to let me know I was being thought about. And not to mention the young lady that became my wife who was there every step of the way. That was there the weeks that I was on my chemo, when I really was physically down, and the weeks that I was off the chemo, that would just give you the encouragement and say, you're going to make it through this entire ordeal, which was 12 weeks. And then there's folks like you, who volunteer your time, who come to meetings like this, who give up part of who you are and part of what you do to be a part of something like this. We have a very dear friend, his name is Arthur Kovacs. Arthur is almost 81 years old. And at his age, he's a 9-year survivor of bone marrow cancer. And one day I said, Arthur, you and I are members of the same club we never signed up for. But yet we know what it takes to get through this. And he says, Mark, we were drafted. And so we were. Anybody in this room who has heard those words, whether it's like with me, colon cancer, or it could be breast cancer, or it could be lung cancer, or skin cancer, or uterine cancer, or any other kind of cancer, you still got the same draft notice. The biopsy is back, it is cancer. But for all of us that were drafted, there are those of you who enlisted. There are those of you who voluntarily decided to get into this fight to help us out. Because if you got your draft notice, it's not like the regular war. Your draft notice can come if you're 6 months old. Your draft notice can come if you're a mother of 6 kids and your husband is off to war. Your draft notice can come if you're a father trying to keep everything together. Your draft notice comes if you just scored perfect on your SATs, you're just getting ready to start college, you're going, your world is right ahead of you. And all of a sudden you get that notice that you have cancer. We all get that draft notice. And all of us draftees need you folks who are the enlistees to be there at our side, to be with us, to give us that encouragement, to give us those orders, that support, that respect, and those prayers to carry us through. Now, I want to tell you something about one enlistee in particular. I am mentally irregular enough to have last year done that LA Marathon. And I will tell you, I did not run it all, but I did finish it. That's my other half over there. She did run it. And she left me at mile 4. But it was part of a plan. My plan was to run 4 miles, stop 4, 4, 4, 4. And so by the time I got to 26, I stopped my 7th time. That was it. The first 4 went according to plan. And if you were around here last year, you know that that marathon, that day, it rained, cats and dogs. The temperature might have maxed out at 52 degrees. And being on blood thinners, the first 4 miles, it went fine. Around mile 7, I was so cramped up, I realized I was no longer going to run the marathon. I was going to be walking it. By mile 11, it got so bad. I was hypothermia. My skin was white. It was freezing. And I stopped at this water station staff like autotrader.com. And I said, can you just give me a garbage can bag to put on? Because when I was running, it was a shirt I cut off here and cut off down there. It was one of my Survivor shirts. I just wanted to be a running commercial throughout that race. Well, they looked at me and they realized I was in serious trouble. And rather than just try to give me a garbage can bag, they took me across the street and put me in their Dodge Caravan. And turned the heat on and gave me some donut holes. And kept me there for about a half an hour. And then finally the paramedics came. They took my temperature, my blood pressure, and they said, your vitals are okay, but you're cold and you really shouldn't be out here. And I said, this time last year, I was on chemotherapy. They said, what are you doing out here now? I said, I am here to show that just because we get it doesn't mean it's going to take over our lives, and I want to take it back. He said, well, you can go, but we're going to monitor you. If we find you're looking bad, we're going to pull you off the track anyway. So I started walking, and all of a sudden I heard this woman call my name, said, Mark, because if you know anything about that, your name is on your bib. And I turned around, and this guy about this tall, but about this wide, runs up to me. And he says, here. And I said, what? He says, I want you to take this jacket. He says, I can't. He said, take this jacket. It was a beautiful jacket. It was fleece lined. It was from Monterey Bay. The outside was waterproof. It had a hood. And I said, well, how do I get it back to you? He said, that's not what's important. If you're going to finish this thing, you need some protection. You need to stay warm. You need to stay dry. So take my jacket. And he took it off. And I put it on. And despite the difference in height, I'm 6'4". He might have been 5'10", maybe. It fit perfectly. I gave him a hug, and then he walked away. And then I finished the last 15 miles walking with his jacket on. Afterwards, my wife found where these people were. The corporate headquarters for Autotrader.com is in Atlanta, Georgia. They contacted their station here behind the Orange Curtain in Brea. They looked at the email, they said, oh, thank God he made it. We wonder what happened to him. We were really concerned. This is such a wonderful thing that he made it. I work for the Los Angeles City Council. My boss had the entire group of them come on up to the City Council, and we presented certificates for every last one of those volunteers. And then on the cue, my friend Nate came up to the podium. We gave the guy his jacket back. He had no idea he was ever going to get it back, let alone we were going to give him a ceremony like that. But he did get it back. And my point is, that jacket carried me for that race. That jacket kept me warm. That jacket kept me protected. That jacket got me through. Every last one of you here who is volunteering your time, you are that jacket. You are that jacket for all those people that are going to be walking around that track. You are that jacket for all those folks that are going to be benefiting in the hospitals. You're going to be that jacket for the people that are down at Harvard, UCLA, that don't have insurance, like a good friend of ours, but they still need this help, and they still need the research, they still need the development, they still need the support that the American Cancer Society can give them. Each one of you have found, through this Relay for Life, a unique, a beautiful, and a demanding measure of your talents, of your skills, of your resources, of your gifts, and most of all, of your abilities to serve. And I hope you will continue to serve. Serve your families, serve your faith, and serve our country. We are a great nation, and while it's true we are not at our best, it's people like you that help make us better. So, as a survivor, as a draftee, as a human being to another human being, I thank you and I congratulate you all, not only for what you've done to come here tonight, but more important, I thank you and congratulate you for about what you're about ready to do. So thank you very much.